and welcome to my channel, Jordan Mind, Body, and Soul, where we learn to take care of ourselves, mind, body, and soul. And if you're new to this channel, then welcome. This channel is just about ways we learn to take care of ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, whatever it is, so that we can lead our best lives. And if you're a returning subscriber or viewer, then thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Let's get started. So, as you already know by the title, this video is my 3-year lock anniversary. It's my 3-year lock update, whatever it is. It's been 3 years since I've had my locks, and all I can say is, ooh, ooh. Okay, seriously, 3 years has gone by so fast, so I'm gonna give y'all a 360. Yes, I have gray hairs. Okay, so first let's talk about growth. My locks have grown faster than I imagined they would have grown, but also faster than other people that I've seen on their lock journey. Like, there's people with my length, I don't know what it is, but there's people literally who tell me they'll be like 7 years in or 6 years in, and it's my length or a little bit longer. And I did start with, I was a loose natural, and my hair, if you like pulled it down, the shrinkage. So if you pull it down, it was maybe about right here where the shirt ends. So it was a little bit shorter than where my hair is now, but it's taken me 3 years to get here. And I just say that to say that each person's journey is so different. And so I know right now there is some critique circulating in the lock community regarding, what is an appropriate style or what is an appropriate style for anything. First of all, just keep in mind, this is your journey and everybody's journey is different. And according to the reason why you decide to lock your hair, it's also another part of your journey. So keep that in mind. If you're just doing it because you're trying to retain length or you're going for a certain hairstyle or look, then everyone's journey is different. So although I'm telling you that this is me at 3 years, I've seen people who said that they have had theirs for 3 years and it's like right there. So keep that in mind. What is your reason? And I always say that about everything. Like, what is your why? Why are you doing this? So that's a big part of it too. I also say that because I feel like at first with my locks, I don't feel like they were growing as fast as they are now. And I think especially for women, we want like a long look. We want like long hair. And I learned to break myself and train others around me to break out of saying it was like the ugly stage or like the ugly phase, because it's not. Any and every part of any journey that you have in life is beautiful. It's meant to happen. I know people get discouraged because their hair is like a certain length or it kind of hangs out at a certain length for an amount of time. Same thing happened with my natural hair. It's like it wouldn't grow past bra strap length. And because of that, people instantly comb or, cut their locks. So understand your why. And in knowing that, just remember like your growth journey is going to be completely different from anyone else's. I can also testify that my cousin, someone that I love near and dear, close to my heart, has had 2 different lock journeys. In each journey, her hair has grown at different lengths at different times. Like, it's always different. So again, if you evaluate your why you're doing it, it'll also help with your process. It'll help with your journey. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about lessons learned. As far as lessons learned with my locks is concerned, the biggest one that I have so far is wrap your hair at night. And that's something that you do as a loose natural as well, or really with any hairstyle that we tend to wear. Wrap your hair at night, but with locks, I notice it so much faster that like my retwist starts to look crazy or my hair starts to get so dry. Like with my locks, I've been learning how to combat dryness. So really make sure you're wrapping your hair at night. And even though I'm saying that, and I know that's one of the biggest lessons I learned, I know sometime this week I'm still gonna go to bed and not wrap my hair. But hey, learn from me. The next thing that I didn't necessarily know, which is kind of obvious in hindsight, but they are heavy. Like, my locks are heavy. Like, there's times where I'm just like sitting on the sofa and I'll take them and I'll put them on the sofa. Or like, I'll tell Terry, I'm like, hold my locks. So hold them for a second because they're heavy. And I guess in theory, they're no heavier than if you get like braids or if you get faux locks or anything else like installed in your head. I guess they're no heavier than that, but I just didn't think of it. It's not something that I thought of. And I'm not gonna lie, there are times, like especially since they're getting longer, where like they'll get caught on stuff. Like if I'm sitting down and I like sit back too fast, then my hair, gets yanked, and I'm like pulling my head up, and oof, it happens a lot when I'm getting in the car. But that's something to keep in mind. Like the longer they get, they might get heavier. And sometimes like I feel like my neck hurts, and I think that's honestly the reason. And I looked up like other people saying like, yeah, my neck hurts sometimes from really long locks, or like especially after you wash your hair and it's wet and you're trying to style it and you're like, dang, my neck hurts. So that's just something to keep in mind, that like in theory, if you think about it, you're like, okay, that makes sense. But I never imagined that would be something. Another thing, so I still do my own retwist. When I first got my starter locks, I went to a loctician, and then the first retwist I had after I had my starter locks, I went to a loctician. And then after that, I'm very much of the person that's kind of like do it yourself. I decided to learn how to do it myself. So every retwist that I've had after my very first retwist, I've done myself. For 3 years, I've been retwisting my own hair. One thing I can say, if you're a person who's like, I'm probably gonna end up retwisting my own hair, is be patient with yourself. But also, let me show you something. You see how my mirror is set up right now? Where I'm standing, I'm looking at a mirror, and I also have a mirror behind me, right? If you have a setup like that, or you can get a mirror for yourself, just like if you're doing any other hairstyle for yourself, it's been so helpful to have this setup. And then when I'm focusing on my parts, because if you're a person that wants like really neat and tidy parts, you might have to have a setup like this, or you might have to have someone assist you. And again, that's with any style that you're trying to do or get help with. But for me, for my locks, I'm really like, I want my parts to be like precise, especially right after a retwist. And I've seen people who say like, be careful with that, because they've started to do their own retwist, and then when they went back to the loctician, their loctician's like, you been doing that yourself? So although I have been doing it myself, I feel like my parts are still very crisp. So as far as a wash routine is concerned, or a retwist routine is concerned, I wash my hair once a month, and I retwist it then. The only time that's changed is when I was going to Hot Works. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm sweating a lot. I can start washing my hair once a week. But what that means is that like right now, I got a retwist. I did my retwist about a week ago, and then I put it in twist and I took it out. So I got like a twist out going on. If I were going to Hot Works still by now, since I would be sweating, it would look a little more like frizzy and just natural. Like it would look less maintained, less, precise. That just depends on the look you're going for. I have no problem with free-formed locks, or like locks that haven't been retwisted in a while. But for me personally, I'm used to seeing myself like with maintained locks that are like recently retwisted. But at the same time, you don't want to be a person that over twists. Like some people will retwist their hair too much to where it'll start thinning out, and it'll start being like too much strain on the hair, and they actually lose locks that way. This again is different from like the loose natural journey, because I feel like the loose natural journey, you can kind of find like your mold of where you fit. But locks, it just seems to be such an individualized journey. Like even people who you're like, I think they have about the same hair texture, or I think they have about the same amount of twist, or you find these commonalities, and then you try and you do things, and it's just completely different. And I wasn't expecting that. I can also say that the lock community, I guess, or like just other people that I watch, it's so different, because sometimes you watch people and you're looking at their hair and you're like, oh my gosh, let me try that, or let me do that, and you do it and it doesn't work for you. Or like there'll be people who've had like lock extensions added on, and like they're talking about something completely different going on with their locks and their journey. So it's kind of tough in that way. But overall, like again, you have to learn your hair, learn yourself, and you do what works for you. Next, let's talk about confidence with locks. Okay. I feel like locks have way more stereotypes and images associated with them than being a loose natural, because that's what I'm comparing it to most of the time. And especially like again with the video that's circulating where there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of stereotypes about people with locks. Me finding myself being classified into that, although I don't necessarily fit the mode, is kind of like odd for me. I'm not really used to that. Also, things like where you read cases or you hear cases about like discrimination against locks in certain places, or like locks not being seen as like professional. I'm not working right now, but when I was working remotely. So in that space, it didn't matter. But I do in the back of my head, which I said in my video from a year ago. So hopefully, eventually, after I keep making these updates, there'll be a change. But I do feel like in some places or spaces, if I'm like, dang, I have my locks, like, how will I be treated? How would I, But in those spaces, I wouldn't want to be there anyway. Like, I'll make myself leave and go to where I'd be accepted without a problem. But this is the first time really in my life that I've had that kind of thought. Like, oh, well, maybe not because I have locks. I can't do this. I can't work for certain companies really. And that's after seeing a lot of backlash, especially like in schools, of like students being banned for having locks, or like, being sent home because the locks were inappropriate and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, it's disheartening because we all know it's deeper than the locks, but it's like me realizing that that could happen to me in some case or some way or another is kind of disturbing. But I don't care. I think they're beautiful. I think they're beautiful. Look how long they are. So to wrap this up, because this is really like my personal timestamp, so I can be like, maybe my 3-year mark. If you're thinking about starting a Loc journey, go for it. If you're like, maybe not for me, but I really like them, that's okay too. Do whatever you want, do what's in your heart, and remember that your journey is going to be different. It's going to be individualized, just like any other journey you have in life. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I can answer them. I can do a more in-depth, detailed video about anything that you want to know about my locks. But other than that, this is more like a timestamp so I can look back and see my journey. But yes, this is 3 years locked. And as always, don't forget, take care of yourself, mind, body, and soul. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.